Welcome to The Writer's Dream, a forum where authors can talk about how they write their books, how they publish their books, and how they market their books. Please visit us on YouTube and also on Facebook under The Writer's Dream. Ask your questions. We'll get back to you. We long to answer your questions about authorship. Today's guest is Lois W. Stern, and she is the author of Sex, Lies, and Cosmetic Surgery and Tick-Tock, Stop the Clock. Lois has talked about her books before, but Lois has also done something very unique. She has a wonderful, intriguing project where authors can help authors, and it's called Tales to Inspire. So Lois, tell us what Tales to Inspire inspires.
Okay. Linda, I've thought for a long, long time that authors can really do a lot to help reach out to other authors and help them. So this project was in my head for a while, but I didn't know exactly how to go about it. I had to wake up at 3 in the morning, many, many mornings. That's my thinking time when I get inspired.
Do you have the pad by the side of the table?
I absolutely do, with a pen. So another part of my interest has always been, aside from these beauty books, inspiring stories that touch the heart, stories that touch the soul. And I got this idea because I was blogging about them a lot. And I got an idea that a lot of authors and aspiring authors have one story in their head that they would love to get out. And this is a way to get that one story published. So I developed this project called Tales to Inspire. Winners get, of course, a logo like this, but they get a lot more, and I'll show you on the website in a moment. Here's how it goes. Write a story, nonfiction, of 1,200 words or less. Make that story something that's going to inspire other people. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be a deep philosophical story. Some of the winners were actually very upbeat, fun, that showed something about love in a family. You know, they don't have to, and some of them were much deeper. So they send them in by the deadline date. There are a number of incentives for the author because they get a lot of good PR. And as we find out, us who have published, you really need to promote. You've got to get your name out there. The word branding becomes so important. You've got to get your name out there, get it recognized. And I do a lot to help those authors if they have a winning tale. Right? So there's a lot in it for them, and there's something in it for me too, because they give me first rights to have that tale published. And my plan is to get them published in a series of little gift books, gift book collections.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
So that's the deal behind it. All the information is on the website. You can see the website here. Just remember Tales to Inspire with that digit 2. And this is how it goes. First, and I give it them step by step on the website so
because
they can
that's
see.
what we need.
Yeah, step by step. This is what you have to do. You have to write your tale. You have to edit it extremely carefully. Let somebody else look at it and edit it. Maybe 3 people should look at it because you want it to be as good as it can be before you submit it. Write a little mini bibliography about yourself, a little CV, biography, I'm sorry, or CV as we call it today, a little one, 150-word max. Tell something about yourself. Give your URL if you have a website, and we'll link to it. Or if you have a Facebook page, or whatever you have that we can link to. So I'm giving them recognition that way. Send in a headshot, and we'll put your picture up. So that's just the beginning, all right?
Do only the winners get on the website?
Every tale that's accepted gets into the website.
Okay.
There are some that do not get accepted. I'll read through it and I'll say, I'm not even going to bother with this.
Okay.
And I'll write back to them, unlike an agent, I write back to them and in general terms, I'll tell them why. There was one that I got recently that it had the potential to be a really good story. It was about music and a particular musical group and how they have spoken to her and helped focus her at different crucial times in her life. But it was the central theme of it wasn't obvious. And you had to read down about 4 paragraphs before you even knew that she was talking about that they were a musical group. She was from Australia. I didn't know this group at all, and I was wondering, what is it all about? You have to make your message clear. It has to have a theme with a message.
Yes.
So, and I wrote back to her and I made some suggestions. I said, I really think you have a potentially good story. But these are the things, before I can enter it into a competition, this is what I'm suggesting you do. I'm not going to edit it, but I will give good suggestions. And she said she agonized all weekend and she decided not to go ahead with it. Well, that's her option, right?
Sure, absolutely.
So, but most of them, they're very thoughtful. They've put a lot of energy into them, and they do a really nice job. One woman that I met on a cruise recently, my husband and I went to Russia, and on the cruise, we had a talent night, and I got up and I told one of the tales, because I said there were so many really bright people on this cruise. I said, I think some of you are going to have stories for me. So one woman, I just heard from her last night, and it's a wonderful story because she had told it to me. I haven't seen it in writing. And she said, do you edit? And I said, I really don't edit in advance because it's a competition. If you don't want to enter the competition, but you just want it published, then yes, I will edit it. So that's her option.
So in other words, if I wrote a story and I said to you, Lois, I don't want to enter the competition, but I would love you to put it on my website, you would edit it?
I would edit it, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if I felt it was worthy of going into the anthology.
Right, of course.
Right, yeah.
Of course.
So that's the way that goes.
Do you have any help with this?
No. I am a one-man team. I am a one-person team.
Yes, I can relate
so,
to that.
my husband said, how can you spend so many hours every day on this? But it's just become a passion, Linda. It's something that I've enjoyed so much.
But anything you do on the internet, on a website, is very time-consuming.
It is.
What inspired you to do this? Where did you get the idea for this?
Only because I was writing these, blogging about these kinds of stories myself, and I just thought, gee, a lot of people must have
So
stories.
you started with a blog?
I have yes, and I have a Facebook page, which is different than Lois W. Stern. The page is called Fabulous Beauty Blog. And on that page, I use it as my funnel. I funnel into that page my inner beauty stories, inspiring tales, and physical beauty. So the cover for that, if you go on that page, you'll see it. It has this in the left corner. It has my books in the right, covers in the right corner. And it says, beauty within, beauty without, what's your passion? Inspire, discover the many
Faces of Beauty?
something like that. I have to go back and look, but it's something like that. Yes,
Maybe
but
we
that's
should
what
rewrite
it is.
that.
Yeah, right. So that's where it is, and I love likes. So if these things appeal to you, I would love you to go on and like it.
So I will do that. So you started with the Facebook page, and then you started to accumulate these stories?
Started to evolve, yes.
And then you do also a blog?
I do 2 blogs.
Is there a Tales to Inspire blog?
It's called Winning Tales, but it all goes onto Facebook, so that's the easiest way to find it. Yeah, I have 2 different blogs, one for physical beauty, one for the inspiring stories, and I funnel them all into the Facebook page. So
and then from the Facebook page, you decided to create the website.
No, the website came first. Actually, the website came first.
So then, in other words, that the Facebook pages are like your agents.
That's right. That's part of it. And I've gotten very involved in LinkedIn and Facebook groups. I have groups, too, on Facebook. I have the Aesthetics and Beauty group, and I have the Inspirational Stories group.
Yes, I also do groups with mystery writers.
Okay, right.
So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And maybe for the viewer doesn't understand that, if you look on Facebook, you have to kind of search for groups, and you give a keyword in there, and they'll give you all the groups. For instance, there's books that go viral, and there's something, Mysteries to Die For. You know, they have all these clever names, and so you go on them, you register, you put your books up, but then you have to go on and you have to, like Facebook, if you want to use this as a marketing tool, you have to continuously post.
And you have to give back. You
Yes.
can't just be talking
That's
about
right.
you. You
That's
have to
right.
give back. Somebody
That's
has a question. If you can answer it, give them some help. Take some
Yes.
time. That's
Yeah.
how you build a name for yourself.
Yeah.
And I would mention, because I think this is important for published authors, even if you have a fiction book. I have a friend by the name of Susan Haley. We met at a publishers conference, and we've become friends over years now. She wrote a magnificent book called Rainy Day People. It's a work of fiction. However, there are a lot of factual, true stories that happen within it. Where do we draw from but from our own
Sure, of course.
experiences? She had delivered a baby calf from a mother cow that was beyond the age for really giving birth. And the mother died before the baby calf was born, and she delivered it, and she called that calf Miracle. And it's the most wonderful story. And I said, Susan, you send me that story for Tales to Inspire. It's wonderful. And she even has pictures of herself feeding the baby calf with a bottle of milk. So many authors of fiction, if they look deeply into their books, I bet they're going to find a nonfiction piece. And then it's another way to promote your book.
Well, I know in my own books there were things in my real life that I wished to capture.
Yes, exactly.
I wanted to capture, I have a teenage heroine, and I wanted to capture what it felt like to fall in love for the first time.
Oh, yes.
And then I was going through, I guess, a period of time of saying, if I don't write this down, I will forget it.
Right.
And I owned a sailboat at one time, and for me to learn how to sail at the age I was when I got the sailboat, it was really quite a challenge. And I thought about, I really don't ever want to forget that. So in the book there are a lot of sailing sequences.
Oh, wonderful.
Because
yes.
I wanted to capture it, because it was, I think that of all of my life experiences, that was to me the most challenging and the most exciting. So I think you're right, and other books the two other books that I've written also, there were things in there. Let me capture that.
Yes, and can you imagine young adults and teenagers reading that, a young girl reading about that first feeling of falling in love, what that must be like?
Yes, and I did it. I actually wrote my books for young girls.
Yes.
And for that reason,
Right.
that they would, be able to be excited about that. So
there's another aspect I should mention about Tales to Inspire. And at first, there were a few people who questioned. As a matter of fact, on LinkedIn, somebody was really nasty. What? You're expecting us to even edit other people's work? You get all kinds of things. One of the requirements is, if you're entering the competition, you then must judge 3 other tales that I send them. And I'll show you that.
So Lois,
screen.
this is a lot of work. First I have to find something to inspire people. Then I have to cut it down to 1,200 words, because us authors, we
like to be wordy, right?
And then I have to edit it and make it perfect and then send it to you. And then I have to edit 3 more articles.
No, you don't edit it. This is what happens. I made it into a click form right on the web. So you get the article, you put in the title that you're assigned, and then it says, how deeply did this story impact on you as an inspiring story or as a feel-good story? Then it starts with number 1 to 5. 5 is the best. And in between they're halves. So you could say 4.5, 3.5, all right? You just click into that, all right? The second question is, how well is it written? On a scale of 1 to 4. And I did that because I figured it can always be edited if it's wonderful. And the third thing is, did they include any pictures, they have to be their own photographs, that appreciably added to the story?
So you want me to take pictures as well?
Well, everybody has pictures.
Right.
They go to their album. And then, is there one thing that you can suggest to this author, unless you gave it a perfect score, that would enrich that tale, to improve it? Now, people were very timid about it in the beginning. Later on, I interviewed them, and the interviews are up on the website. And that was one of the last questions I asked them. How did you feel about that? almost unanimously, they said it was the best thing for them because it helped them to become better writers.
I believe that. I believe when you read other people's work and ask, you're asked to look at that writing through a different lens.
Right.
You're self-reflective.
Right.
You
and
look at your
one
own
woman
writing.
said, I didn't read it once, I read it 3 times, 4 times. But she said, I was only afraid that I would miss something, and I really had to delve into it. And the other thing I had to stress to them is you are not in competition, because I don't have one winner or one finalist. Everybody with a score of 85 through 95 is a winner. Everybody in that little bit lower level is a finalist, so there could be 15. I don't care, as long as they've been. I just take your scores that you've given me, and I average them. So I have them from 3 different authors. I average them out, and whatever happens, happens. Now, there were 2 tales that did not fall into that category, and I knew why after I read them, and they were good stories, but they had too much downer in them. The first one, if that first paragraph had been eliminated or just toned down, and I said to her, I would like to rewrite that part and use it. It's a wonderful story, so I did. And there was another one very similar. Just it needed a little work. And I have that option then to say to the author, I still want to use this. They've already signed a release form for me.
Oh, that's great. So then if you've decided after they've been read by 3 other authors and yourself, and you've decided that you're going to use it, then they have to sign a release?
The release form they sign when they submit it.
Okay.
It's right up on the web, so it's easy.
Okay,
Yeah.
so your website is really pretty inclusive.
Right, it is.
Okay, suppose that I win.
What do you get?
Yes, what do
Okay.
I get out of this?
All right. Let me see if this is still up here, because
No, you have to, there it is.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to have to
Perfect.
scroll down, but can I
Okay.
see it? I can't see it, right? First, well, you're going too fast.
Okay.
First, let's look at this part. Am I allowed to look?
There we
Maybe
go.
I think
There
if
we go.
you can read it. There's some
Finalists
things.
and winners.
Okay, can you read it? I can't. Am I allowed to get up out of my
No,
seat?
no,
I'm not. All right. Well, the first thing. See, I should have
Well,
really.
you know what it says, so you can just say it in your own words.
Okay. First of all, you get to be published, at least in an ebook, maybe a print copy, depending on what happens. That's my next step.
This is the next step, the next
This is the
project.
next
yeah,
step.
Next part of the project.
Right.
Good.
This is where I have to do the work. We are working out, Linda, with a writer's dream, a way for these authors to make a short video, long distance, put it on a DVD, and get it to us, and I will work to put it together so that they have their own little exposure.
I'm pretty sure they can do that here. If we put a collection on the DVD, I know that they can cue that up during the program.
So that they can be on channels, actual cable channels, which I think is a wonderful exposure. And then they have that also for their own website, if they have a website.
You know what might be a good idea too is when these authors respond to you, to put a question in there about, do they know of any way any other venues that you could promote this on?
Yes, that's a good thing. That is a very good thing to do.
Because networking.
Yes, that's all part of it. Right.
It's networking.
You're right.
Okay, so I've won this, and now I'm published.
Yes, and now, and I do a lot of PR. I do a lot of PR. I put up, first of all, there's an author's tale page, and I think it's wonderful. And you have to go to the author's tales page to see, because I can't put it up because there's sound with it. But I introduce each author. I tell a little bit about their tale without giving away everything about it. And it has their picture, it has finalist or honorary or winner on the side, their name underneath, and I tell a little bit about it. Then their titles of their stories and their names are listed on the left column, and people can click on it and go to read the beginning of it. You can't, if you're going to have something published, you can't have it all on the web.
No.
Already, but I can give them a teaser where they get a little bit of it.
This is what I do with my book. I'm writing a my third book now, and so I put a few paragraphs from this chapter and a few. I put it on Facebook and say, if you want to read this.
That's
and that.
right. That's
and
right.
just enough to tease,
To whet
not
their
enough
whet
to,
their appetite, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Have you ever been approached by any of the other author websites about this?
The author websites.
Like
what do
there's
you mean?
author.com and there's autonomy.com. There's a number of author websites. I just wonder if that wouldn't be another venue of saying, you know, I have this project and I have this website. Would you advertise it on your website? If in fact you do want more advertising.
Yes, I don't know about those, and I'll have to get that list from you later.
Okay.
I did read on LinkedIn a woman who, she called it Black Lilac Kitty, and it's a fairly new site. You have to pay. It's not a freebie, but it looks very interesting, and I'm going to look into that one a little more too.
Is yours free?
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
And
yes, I'm glad you asked that.
That's a big come on.
Yes, yeah, it costs them nothing, and believe me, the thousands of hours I put into that, you couldn't pay me enough. I have to just love doing it.
No, absolutely.
And hopefully, I'll get a reward at the end.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
because
you know,
I
I'm
wanna
sure,
get a published
especially
book.
if it comes out in ebook, and I like the idea of the little books.
Yes,
I
thought gift
I have
books
a whole
would be
collection
nice.
of those little tiny books, and I like to read them.
Yeah.
What is the media page? You say you have a media page?
Yes, on the media page, I have the cover to my Facebook page, so you can link to it from there. I have quotes from the different authors from when I interviewed them, and I took quotes on.
And you interviewed them on your blog?
I interviewed them. I used conferencetown.com.
Okay.
And I interviewed them.
Is this like blog radio?
Yeah, it's sort of like blog radio. I interviewed them, then you have to convert it to an MP3 file afterwards.
Yes.
And and then I put them up on the website. You see, nobody understands how much work this involves, each of these steps.
I do.
But I love doing it, and I love listening to them. So for people who don't want to listen to the whole interview, these are just little quotes. One woman from Florida put in a whole long thing in her Florida writers group. Oh, I've contacted a lot of the writers groups around, and it's amazing how many winners I've gotten from Florida. I haven't quite figured that out, except that I think they're retired people. They have a lot of life experience,
and they have
the time.
They have time.
That's right. Yes.
Now, were you going to read us something?
Let me tell you. I'll tell you a story or two, all right, or a little bit about them rather than read. This one came actually from a physician down in Florida, a retired physician. And it was such a beautiful story that I had to ask him, is this true? I really questioned whether it was true. And he said, Lois, I was very, very friendly with this doctor. This is about another doctor. He said, the only thing I changed was his name. Everything else is factual. He said, we were very close friends, but I never knew this story until his son told it at his funeral. And he said, I was so taken by it that that's why he wrote it. And he said, I have a number of these medical miracle type stories, and he said, I would like to see them go into gift book collections because that would be wonderful in a hospital for people to have something like that to read. And he said, to be quite honest, there's some doctors who need that too, that they give up too fast. Well, this is the story of a doctor who was called in the middle of the night in this freezing cold of Milwaukee to come to the hospital. A young woman had been brought in by her parents, bleeding heavily. She was an obese young woman. They didn't even know that she had been pregnant. She had given birth in an abandoned building, left the baby in a paper bag in the basement of this tenement, and went home bleeding. The parents took her in having no idea what happened. The doctor examined her and said, where is the baby? He could tell right away. There was an umbilical cord. And she said she denied it. And he said, I am calling in the police if you don't tell me right now. So she admitted it. They called an emergency squad to pick up the baby. They said the baby was frozen like a piece of solid meat, frozen solid. He tried with the nursing staff everything, and he was not a neonatal specialist, but he tried everything that he knew of, immersing the baby in warm water and all of these things, and nothing, tried injecting it, and the flesh was so frozen that they couldn't even get a hypodermic needle into the baby. So time was running out. And he looked at the nurses and he said, "Does anyone have an idea?" And they looked at each other, and then he heard, "Just pray." And he looked at the women, the nurses, and he said, "Does anyone want to pray?" And nobody did. So he got down on his knees and he prayed. And while he was praying, a thought came to him. You've been trying everything from the outside in. Why not try from the inside out? He said it was nothing, it was not a technique he had ever heard of, but at least it was something. So he started taking a syringe and squeezing a little bit of warm water into the baby's mouth and pulling it out. Kept doing that. More warm water, pulling it out. Miraculously, the baby started to come to.
Respond.
Probably it being frozen saved her life. It was a little girl. That baby survived miraculously. Was in an orphanage for a while and then adopted by a family, and he lost track of what happened after that. But when he was diagnosed with terminal cancer, that was his one wish, to meet this little girl. And it's a beautiful ending to that story. Just a beautiful ending.
And did you meet the little girl?
Did I know?
No, did he meet the little
Yes,
girl?
he did. He did.
Oh, that's a beautiful
It was
story.
really a beautiful story.
So they really are tales to inspire.
Yes, but then I have some that are just happy, feel-good stories that are wonderful, well-written.
Well, that was
really
a pretty good feel-good
Yes,
story.
it was.
Well, Lois, it's been a pleasure, and I'm going to write a story for you.
Good. I would love it, Linda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're a wonderful